Composition can best be broken down into 3 stages, which we'll address throughout this video. First, the focal element, the structure, and last, the balance. So let's start with the first one, the focal element. The focal element is something that the viewer is drawn to immediately upon seeing the image. Now, I love this one because personally, if I find an image which I would consider to be badly composed, generally the biggest culprit is that it's lacking a focal element or there is too many focal elements. Focal elements are so vital to a scene because without it, the viewer is left bouncing around the image, wondering what on earth the whole point of it is. Case in point, this image I made here a few years ago. You look at this and you go, great, a brick wall. Thrilling. Now what? What are we supposed to focus on? The door? Is that what's interesting? That's the only, I guess, thing that stands out here. I mean, there's nothing here. Nothing. It's just a brick wall. And so you end up reaching for that close button as quickly as you can because it's a waste of time. There's nothing here other than it's a brick wall. So all that time I put into texturing and the lighting and the glare and getting the perspective and all that stuff was a complete waste of time because I didn't bother to put a focal element in. This image, something like this, is likely to get closed within seconds by the majority of people that have a look at it. And for a right reason. If you had, on the other hand, if you had like a little guy, let's see here, we had a little guy and he was like standing here and he's like got his arms folded. Because he's from the hood, you know? And he was there with his little hoodie on or whatever in the background, that would be a focal element. That would be something that would get your attention. But as it is, there's nothing there, so it's just bland and boring. In a more direct example, let's have a look at 4 chairs. Now, I would have no idea which chair you're looking at right now because they're all exactly identical. There's no reason you should be focusing on any particular one. So, an image like this is likely to get rejected by your brain. That sounds really stupid, but no, it really is. Like, it's just, there's no point to it. So you just like turn your head, away you go. However, if you were to make something that stands out, it completely changes the dynamic of the scene. So, this is just a really simple example of adding saturation to it, but this is really what it's all about in your scene, is making something which stands out from the rest of the scene. And it's so important. If you don't have it, it's just completely lacking. So this is saturation, but there's a variety of other ways. I'll give you one more example here, and that is contrast. And this is one you see a lot, particularly used incorrectly. So this is one you have to be wary of because a high contrast, basically white and black, sitting next to each other, is really like it's like a magnet for your eye. You're like, ugh, and you just look at it, right? You have to be wary of it because, if, for example, you have an interior shot of a lounge room and then you have a window at the end of the scene with bright white light coming in, well, the window is got the most contrast in the entire scene. So your eyes are going to be drawn to the window when in actual fact you wanted people to look at the couch. So you have to be wary of contrast, which is incorrectly used in your scene because that can become the focal element even though you didn't want it to.